Look what finally came in the mail today, the ROG Ally X. And in today's video, this is going to be a quick unboxing and my initial impressions of this beautiful device. Once again, I'm Cameron, and this is Gamer vs. Tech.
Something that was real.
So I'm going to start off by saying I shouldn't be buying any more handhelds, but of course, I'm a handheld junkie. I'm chasing the handheld dragon. So in today's video, I just want you guys to know that the ROG Ally X isn't going to be a huge upgrade compared to the original ROG Ally, but there are some differences. But in today's video, this unboxing, we're really going to see the aesthetics, the ergonomics. We're going to see what's really different. Now, I know there's a million videos out there right now because it just came out, and we've got people like the Fox, ETA Prime, everyone's doing benchmarks already. So I know I'm a little late to the game, but I hope that I can add something a little bit different than anyone else. So let's get to it. So once again, it's ASUS. A lot of people are going to say some bad stuff about ASUS right now because of the support and RMA and other things like that, but you know what, I'm an ASUS fan. All my computer stuff is ASUS. I have ASUS gaming laptops. I have the ROG Ally. I have never had a problem with ASUS. I've had warranty stuff with ASUS before. Sure, it might take long, but what company doesn't take long for warranty stuff? But I've never had a problem with ASUS. So that being said, I know other people have, and I'm not discrediting that at all. So don't take it that way, but I do believe that ASUS is trying to right their wrong, especially since it's been coming to light. So I'm going into this, we're wiping the slate clean. We're gonna hopefully see a different ASUS in the future so that everybody can really enjoy these products and everyone can feel safe buying these products. So right off the bat, beautiful packaging, very similar to the original ROG Ally. I remember when the original ROG Ally came out, I was so stoked because at the time, I mean, really, I was using GPD devices, I was using the Steam Deck, I was using 1X devices, but really when ASUS decided to throw their hat into the game, I was really excited because ASUS, in my opinion, was a very trusted brand, and I just really wanted that out of a handheld device. I will say, I did not use my ROG Ally very much because the Steam Deck was better in my opinion, and many of my other devices were better in my opinion. But I still have my ROG Ally. I still play it every once in a while. It's a nice device, but it's not my favorite device. So when the ROG Ally X was announced, I was pretty stoked because of the promise of different specs, different ergonomics, and other upgrades, especially the 80 watt hour battery. All right, so here we go. Top coming off. Once again, great packaging. And I like how the device is the first thing that you see. It's not buried underneath a bunch of stuff. Ooh, okay. I can immediately tell that it's a slightly heavier than the original ROG Ally. That's not a bad thing, but I can tell that it's slightly heavier. Oh, okay. Yeah, huge difference. I mean, I have the original ROG Ally here, and I didn't even, like, literally a millisecond into this, I could tell a huge difference by holding, I mean, the corners aren't as sharp here, which is absolutely amazing. So before we dive into that a little bit more, what else is in the box? We've got our charger. I believe this is a 65 watt charger. Yep, 65 watt charger. I'm sure there's some booklets and stuff in here. Now in the lid, there is some like paper stands that I also kind of thought were cheap, especially with the original ROG Ally. But I'm not gonna show you those because I'm never gonna use them. So put that to the side. All right, so original, or the ROG Ally X and original ROG Ally. So right off the bat, you can tell, like, these corners right here, everyone complained about these corners because when you're holding the original ROG Ally, the way it rests in your palm, it was a little sharp, definitely. So let's just hold this device, definitely sharper here. The thumbsticks, the dish style directional pad. Okay, buttons on the back. Okay, now here is the ROG Ally X. Much different feel. Yeah, like I'd say, I wouldn't say double the resistance or the amount of strength it might take to move these analog sticks, but definitely way more resistance. Yeah, I like this much more. This reminds me more of like a PlayStation controller. So PlayStation controller is going to be a little stiffer. I mean, this is the DualSense. Is there any difference between? No, these are about the same. So, but it's almost there. Like, the resistance wise, this feels like a real thumbstick for sure. Not some super light thumbstick or anything like that. Like, that was one of my problems with the original ROG Ally. Buttons are nearly identical. The dish directional pad is a little different. Once again, I don't play fighting games very much, but so I don't really have much negative things to say about these style pads. Now I know other people prefer just regular directional pads, not dish style, but they're fun. This is fine to me. I actually really like the texture is definitely different. Not insanely different, but it just feels a little different. Buttons feel relatively the same. Oh, there's a difference right there. Definitely clickier. Very much more sensitive. This is like hair trigger status. I actually really like that. Less strength, very quick response. I like that a lot. What else? Thickness wise, coming in a little thicker. Definitely not massively thick, but I do believe obviously that the thickness has to do with them jamming a 80 watt hour battery in here. Now, an 80 watt hour battery in a device like this is a laptop size battery. I mean, my G14 has a 78 watt hour battery. 80 watt hours in a handheld is huge. I believe that ASUS set the bar. At this point, in my opinion, every handheld that comes out from now on should at least have an 80 watt hour battery. That's just my opinion, but I do believe that is going to set the bar for every manufacturer out there. All right, continuing as far as ports go, we have two USB-C 4 ports. Two USB-C ports. One is USB-C 4 going at 40 gigs per second. We got the volume rocker, a relocated SD card spot, our 3.5 millimeter audio jack, power button, and then the buttons on the back are definitely different. They're a lot smaller because I do believe a huge complaint with the original ROG Ally was that these buttons were way too big and people were accidentally pressing them too much. The backside texture is definitely different, a little bit grippier, I guess you could say. It's still plastic, and it's not like it's rubber or anything like that, but I definitely feel like this is a much better route to go here. Ventilation looks good. Now, internally, there's a complete overhaul. One, to fit that 80 watt hour battery, but also, the cooling is different. They're trying to make, from what I hear, the surface level, like on the screen, is going to be a lot cooler, which is really awesome. I can't wait to do some testing on that. Another big thing with the last ROG Ally was the SD card. There was a lot of complaints saying that the SD cards were overheating. Me personally, I don't use SD cards for gaming because SD cards aren't as fast as the internal storage. So I never put games on SD cards, but for those of you that did, There was an issue with the original ROG Ally. They were getting cooked. I can't comment on that because I didn't have that problem. But from what I hear, they did, you know, obviously with the change, I'm hoping, and so far, like the Fox has said, he's extensively tested the SD card and hasn't had any problems. So hopefully we don't hear about that. Aside from that, yeah, I mean, texture wise, very different. I mean, everything has kind of been changed. I mean, other than the screen is exactly the same. It's the 7-inch, 120 hertz FreeSync, so the VRR, which is huge. I mean, the ROG Ally did have that going for it. It was setting the bar there. But even with these analog sticks, they're completely different. I believe these were completely just reworked, changed because there was a lot of complaints about the original ones. Another thing, or two things going on internally with the new ROG Ally X, the RAM. So the original ROG Ally had 16 gigs of RAM, and the new ROG Ally X has 24 gigs of RAM at a much faster speed, going at 7,500 megatransfers. That's huge. So more RAM and faster RAM, which theoretically should give you much better performance. Now, you're probably already watching other videos showing that the ROG Ally X is better than the original ROG Ally. So I'm just saying this because maybe some of you don't know, but also that is huge. It's absolutely huge. If you've been watching my channel, I believe more RAM is better, faster RAM is better. I have proven that on my channel before with other devices. Like the last video, the One X Player X1 has faster RAM and more RAM, and that is, in my opinion, the king of handhelds. Now, in the near future, a new video is gonna come out. I'm gonna be extensively testing this. I'm gonna be putting up against the Steam Deck, the X1, and some of my other devices, and who knows, this might take the spot as king. I have a feeling that this is really going to change the game, especially with that 80 watt hour battery. I mean, that is absolutely huge, especially if you are comfortable gaming on handhelds. 80 watt hours is absolutely amazing. Another thing that has changed internally is the use of a full size M.2 2280 SSD. The original ROG Ally was a 2230. Those were much more expensive and harder to get sometimes, but now we have access to a full 2280 M.2 SSD, and you better believe it, I'm gonna fire this thing up, and the first thing I'm gonna do is drop it into 2 terabytes. I'm really excited. I cannot wait to test this out, but initially my first impressions are, yeah, it feels definitely different. It definitely feels different. I really, really appreciate the rounded corners here. It feels much more comfortable in my hand. Other than that, I mean, until I start gaming on it, I can't tell you much about how it performs, but my initial impressions are it's very familiar, but definitely different. So, like I said, I cannot wait to test this thing out. I'm gonna be dropping that bigger SSD in it. We're gonna get a video going. We're gonna be testing some Overwatch, some Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, other games like that. So please stay tuned. That video is gonna be coming soon. Once again, I'm Cameron, and this is Gamer vs. Tech.